Where'd you go? Where'd you go, Isaac?
All right, all right. What do we got here? Good evening, good evening. Those tuning in. Hey, y'all there? Y'all there? Welcome to Master Your Money with Eric Anderson. We are live again today, this evening. Let us know you are there. Wait for a few more folks to join us this evening. The topic is the importance of financial goal setting for today. Those of you who have received the notification, we will be starting just momentarily. I see you. I see you. How's your week been going, Eric?
These are interesting times all the way
It's
till April.
busy.
Very, very busy. So crazy as it sounds, this is a nice little break. I try to, take a little time for this. So I try to meditate out on Tuesdays, but even Tuesdays are getting busy, as we were just saying. I try to get done a little early on Tuesday for us to get ready, but today was one of those Tuesdays. I just got done with the last client, about 30 minutes ago. So
Wow.
we'll see how this goes tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Never gonna complain about business though. So
Hey, hey, can't complain. Can't
can't
complain.
complain.
Oh, yeah.
So
All
other
right.
than that, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Moving and grooving, man. Busy as always, but I'm hanging in there. Hanging in there. Excited for the 2026 year. So it's moving pretty fast. We're already approaching,
Correct. Yeah.
you know,
I just look
March.
up and it's April 15th, right? Yeah. I just look up and it's April 15th.
Like it's March. It's coming up
Oh,
March right now. We're
no.
like mid February. We're already March coming up. So
The days
yeah.
just kind of run. You usually don't get any days off or anything like that because I try to take off Sundays and that has not worked. I really tried to do that this year, but that has not worked so far. We'll see how this Sunday goes.
You see how it goes, huh?
We'll see how this Sunday goes. No one's called yet. I don't believe I have anything this Sunday yet. I have everything, something every day except for Sunday right now. So we'll see.
So they say most people want to be off on a Sunday, man. Chill.
Yeah, but a lot of people, that's pretty much the only day they can meet. So I try to accommodate that. I try to go to church and then do it, or try to get it done pretty quick so I can take the rest of the day off. But it's part of what we do. So
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead and I guess we can get started. We can get started. Everybody, y'all there? All right, we're gonna get started. For today's live, the importance of financial goal setting. For those of you joining us, you can definitely go to thefinancialturtle.com for more tips. We are here live every Tuesday. Eric is be discussing a lot of different things regarding finance and all different aspects. And today it is the importance of financial goal setting. Eric, what do we got for today? I know you had a couple of things that you wanted to kind of share today, but just kind of give us an overview and what we're going to dive in today's topic today, and how can they benefit from being, our financial goal setting and setting us up for the future.
So the reason why this came to me, I talked to a couple people, but it really came to me, especially, believe it or not, during tax season, because we have so many conversations about how do I save? How you doing, Shayna? Uh, we should have so many conversations about how do I save money on taxes. Even I tell you business, you and I had a conversation when you did your taxes, right? And we talked about not just the W-4 and things like that. We talked a little bit about um, putting more money into your 401k. How you doing, Rod? Starting a brokerage account. If you have a business, starting a SEP IRA, things like that. If I'm trying to start a savings account, start an emergency fund, pay off bills, there are so many different type of goals that people can have. But again, it starts with having a goal. And there's a difference between a goal and a plan. I can tell you all day, that I want to save. Let's say I want to have $10,000 in an emergency fund at the end of the year. That's a goal, but what is the plan on how to get to it? And
Right.
that's where we usually fall off because we don't have smart. I'll just say smart goals. We all know what smart means. We know the acronyms for that, right? For
Right.
smart, when somebody says smart goals, everybody knows what that means. And that's something that you should really think about because again, that'll help you get to whatever your goal is. And probably the most important part of that, it has to be attainable, it has to be reachable. Again, somebody can say something outlandish to me like, I'm in my 30s and I want to retire at 45. It's not outlandish if we can sit here and have a plan and talk about how to execute that plan instead of just somebody just jumping up and saying, I want to retire at 45 or I plan on retiring at 50 or whatever. But when I say, "What are you doing to do that?" It makes me think of the young man. Remember we were at the thing and the kid said, "I'm gonna retire at 40," and everybody
Yeah.
started laughing, was like, "What are you doing?" "I work at HEB," and it's like, "Okay, how do you plan on retiring?" And he had no answer. He was just like, "I know I wanna retire at 45 or 40 or 45, whatever." He had no plan. He could not articulate he could
Articulate.
not articulate it.
No, at
He could
all.
not explain it. And so the same thing when we sit down and we talk about what our goals are, if my goal is to get out of debt, how's the plan on doing that? We need to really sit down and do our smart goals and think about how to do that. And again, like I said, today, meaning right now, is a great time to have that conversation, especially don't just go in and get your taxes done. I tell people that all the time. I get so many new clients just from that. When people say we never sit down and talk about how do I save money on taxes? What do I need to be doing? Like they said, I just go in, I give them all my information, they do my taxes, they say this is what you owe. They don't say, "Hey, how do I bring that down? What do I need to do? What do I need to start thinking about?" All types of things like that. There are people who've come in here and I said, "Do you know you're gonna owe?" And like, "How do you know?" I can see on your W-2. I can see on your W-2 you're gonna owe. And it's like, has the person who's ever done your taxes, have they ever talked to you about changing your W-4? Most time they say no. Have you talked about maybe putting more money into your 401k? Because you're only putting a certain amount in. I can tell by your W-2, you're only doing the match, or you're only doing this amount or whatever. I can tell by your W-2 how much money you're putting into your 401k. Have you ever thought about putting more money into your 401k? No, no one's ever had that conversation with me. Have you thought about doing a what you call? All right. SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, right?
Yeah.
Relative, I believe reasonable, but it's relative and timing. So, meaning specific, you can measure it. It has to be something that's realistic that you can attain. Um, Relevant, meaning how does this goal affect you? So, if I have a goal, how does this goal affect me financially? Right. And then timely means giving it a time frame. So, I believe I said them all correctly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We use
Yeah.
different words, but yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
correct.
Measurable. Yeah. Definitely,
You
definitely.
know, yeah,
Specific,
specific,
measurable,
measurable,
achievable, relevant,
achievable
and time. Let's say
time.
time bound, right? Like
Correct.
how much time this is gonna take, and put that time on there. Yeah,
Correct.
on what
So yes, like
to
I said,
achieve that, right?
yeah. So like the goal of saying I want to have a certain amount of money within a year in an emergency fund. I want to lose a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
So those are goals that you can set, and then you go through the SMART to be able to attain that goal, as opposed to somebody who says, I want to lose 50 pounds in a year, but I'm not figuring out how to. Obviously, the goal would be what? To lose 4 or 5 pounds a month, right?
Yeah,
So, how do you do that? You don't have that conversation. You just say, that's what I want to do. You just go out and do your thing. And then 10 months down the road, you haven't lost any weight. Same thing. I want to max out. That'd be like somebody saying, I want to max out my IRA for the year. What is that? It's 7,000, 8,000 now, 8,000 now, if you're over 50. So what is that, like seven something a month?
if you're over 50, yes,
Yeah, it's like seven
yeah,
something a month. So your goal should be putting seven something a month instead of saying, I got to put this huge amount. No, just do it in pieces, just, specific, measurable and all that. But again, we don't look at our goals like that. We don't actually make a plan and figure out how to attain those goals. We just say, I want to do this goal. And again, it's just a goal. You don't have a plan on how to get to that goal. And again, like I said, I think it's very good today because there's so many different ways that you can save money on taxes. Like how we had the conversation. Again, I'm trying not to get personal, but remember we had the conversation when it was like, I can put money into a 401, I can put money into my IRA, right? And that'll bring my taxes down. But it's not dollar for dollar, right?
right.
But if my goal is to build wealth, would I rather take that money to build wealth or would I rather pay more taxes?
I rather build wealth. I was, yeah,
Correct. So when you say to somebody, you need to put this money into an IRA or change your 401k at work or whatever, it's not dollar for dollar. I don't care what TI and all them say, it's not dollar for dollar. But if you do that to grow wealth, you're going to get to your goals, right? If I have a goal of having a certain amount of money in retirement or whatever, and I'm doing that to reach those goals, that's much better than the thought of going and buying this car or going on this vacation and do all that. I mean, I understand those things are better today, but what is your goal? What are you trying to attain? So you should really think about that when you are, especially when most people say, I'm living check to check. What does that mean when someone says they're living check to check?
when they spend all the money pretty much they have until the next check, and try to make sure that they stretch that amount of money until the next pay period, or if it's biweekly or monthly or whatever. So they only have to budget for that amount of for that month, and usually don't have anything left over, because some people just literally spend after they pay their bills. They're like, well, this is what I have left over, so I blow it.
Bingo. I wanted you to say it. So you think if I change my 401k or change my W-4 so less money was coming into my bank account, I'm still living check to check, right? Because like you said, I didn't say it, you said it. I
Hmm.
spend any money I have in the account. That's living check to check. I'm not paying myself first. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm basically living check to check. So what if I say, you know what? I'm going to put such and such amount into an IRA. I'm going to move it immediately into an IRA, or I'm going to change up my 401k. So more money goes into my 401k, or I'm going to change up my W-4. So more money's coming out of my check to go into my to go to pay my taxes. Is my lifestyle going to change much?
No,
More
no,
than
no,
likely
no.
not.
Not when you already living check to check and you
But
just moving your money away. So
yeah, but my point is, I'm living check to check because I'm blowing money.
right.
You might not be thinking it in your head, but I have this money, so I can spend this money because I have it instead of saying I need to take this money to go pay these bills. So if I have less money to go pay these bills, then obviously my life's going to tweak a little bit, but it's not going to tweak the way that you believe it is. When you say, okay, I'm doing that to build wealth. And the crazy part about it is, depending on what you're doing, pretty much anything I've said right now is saving you money on taxes as well.
Hmm.
If I'm putting into an IRA, if I'm changing my W-4, if I'm putting into a 401k, that's changing my tax situation as well, which is usually most people's problem, right?
Yeah.
unless you got a bunch of kids and stuff like that. Most people come in here and they owe money on taxes because they don't have the credits and the exemptions and all that stuff of somebody who has kids who are under 16 or kids who go to college or whatever. So most people end up owing taxes. So when you
Man.
have the conversation of, hey, you need to adjust your budget a little bit for you to put money into these things. And again, I know we're talking about financial goals. That should be a financial goal. My
Mm,
financial goal should be, hey, I don't want to pay taxes at the end of the year, right?
right.
It's not all about the people who get the huge checks. There are plenty of people out here who have to pay taxes, right?
Yeah.
So if my goal is not to pay taxes, even if like when I'm getting ready to do my extension, I have to write a check. So I have to make estimated payments when I go to do extension because I don't do my taxes till after tax season. So I always do extension on my 1120S and my personal, but I write a check, which is another thing. A lot of people do extensions and they don't know that if I do an extension and then I owe money when I finally do the tax return, I have to pay that interest all the way back to April. So that's money I'm basically throwing away, correct?
Yeah.
And so you have to plan for that. So again, there are so many things you can do throughout the year from a financial goal setting and financial planning, tax planning, things like that. That'll save you money. Think about all the interest you're paying if I just do an extension and then when I finally file my taxes, I owe money. So now I got to pay all that interest from that instead of doing estimated payments throughout the year. There's so many tweaks and so many things that you could be doing to save money throughout the year as opposed to saying I got to do this big huge thing that's going to save me money and help me save money to put more money into the bank account, do a savings account, do an emergency fund, things like that. It's the little tweaks like that that we're not taught apparently.
Yeah.
Because I get the phone calls all the time when people say, "How come I owe interest?" Because when you did an extension, when you finally filed your taxes, you owed money. You got to pay interest on that. And there are people, even when they file, if you own a business and you're not doing estimated payments and stuff, I know I'm going a little bit off, but again, it's not just financial goal, tax goal, all these type of settings and strategies that you should be thinking about throughout the year that can save you money. Same thing, like I said, if I own a business, that's why I'm an S corp because so I pay myself a salary like everybody else. So I'm paying taxes all year long. So I don't just pay taxes at the end of the year and have a huge tax bill and have to pay penalties because I'm not doing estimated payments. I pay myself a salary all year long. Then when I do my estimated payment, I'm basically paying the taxes on my K1 for my 1120S. That's basically what my estimated payment is paying for. So I don't have a huge interest bill when I finally pay my taxes, right? When I finally do my return.
Okay.
Again, we don't have these type of conversations. And so that's really sad when so many people come in and we talk about owing money on taxes and stuff. And like I said, the moment you hand me your W 2, if you don't have kids and stuff, I'm like, you're going to owe. How do you already know that? Because of what you're taking out in federal. So you need to change that and then change your financial goals, change your budget, change all those things that you're doing. So then you don't owe taxes at the end of the year and you're not quote unquote. I don't mind someone saying they live check to check if they're paying themselves first.
Mm,
That's the most important part. I'm not tripping if I'm paying myself first, right?
yeah.
If I'm putting money into a savings account, if I'm putting money into an emergency fund, putting money into a brokerage account, an IRA, and then after I do that and do everything else, I don't have any money left over, but I'm paying myself first, right? I'm reaching my financial goals because again, say my goal is to max out my IRA. My goal is to pay off my debt. My goal is to build a brokerage account. My goal is to build an emergency fund. My goal is to build a savings account. If I'm doing those things every month, and again, I have a plan on how I'm going to do that every month, then it's not the end of the world to say, okay, today's Monday and I don't have any money on Thursday. I mean, I get paid on Thursday and today's Monday and I don't have any money till Thursday. I have money. It's in my emergency fund. It's in my savings account, but I know I can't touch it. That's fine. Because what does the other person do? They take it out of their savings account, right?
Yeah.
They take it out of their emergency fund. But the person who says, no, I can't go in there because I can't touch my emergency fund, I can't touch my savings account. So if somebody says, I'm living check to check, and you have that mindset of that money spent because that money's going into the account, that money's going to help me reach my financial goal, then that's fine. It's the person who's just, like you said, who's just blowing all their money. So how are you reaching any financial goals or anything like that if you're just blowing your money?
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So if there's a certain amount of money, I don't know if it was a percentage of how much you should pay yourself, or you when you said that about putting money into a brokerage account or IRA, that is considered paying yourself, right? Not do I count the 401k to match that I'm doing that? Does that count as paying yourself, or is it something specific that I am moving aside after I receive my income, my check or whatever? Is it going to that certain percentage of that, right?
So again, it's all about what your situation is. Again, you definitely don't want to. The best way I put that is I would not tell somebody to put money into a savings account when they got to keep taking the money out to pay their bills and things like that. So it has to be something that it's going to make you stretch, but at the same time, it's something that you can attain. You see what I'm saying? That you can achieve it and do it. Like she said, the part about the savings and the taxes. I tell people that all the time. When somebody says, so if I change my W-4, how does that affect? It's like your checks are going to be smaller. Obviously, right? If I change my W-4 for them to take more taxes out, I'm like, be prepared, obviously, that your checks are going to be smaller. The same thing. Be prepared that your checks are going to be smaller if you change your 401k. If you move it from 6 to 8, it's gonna, it might not be a big amount. It might not seem like a big amount, but it's going to be a change.
Yeah.
So you need to be prepared for that. But at the end of the day, like she just said, at the end of the day, my taxes are going to change as well. So look at it like that. It's almost like the example we gave about we were sitting here and I showed you if you put this money, if you and your wife put this money into this IRA, you'd get a much huger return, not 14,000 like if you maxed out your IRAs, but you would get this much back in taxes. So you might be putting the 14,000 into your IRAs, but you're getting some of that back in a tax return.
But this is
Because
the
because that
traditional
yeah,
traditional IRA,
traditional,
right? Yeah,
traditional.
not
Yeah,
Roth
so
IRA, right?
yeah,
Just make
right.
sure that's
This is tax
different.
deferred. So
Right.
you're gonna get some of that money back when you put it in there. But, people always say, "I can't afford to do that, I can't afford to do that." But you can afford to pay taxes. You know what
Ooh, that
I'm
hurts.
saying?
Say it
But
again, Eric.
and the other part is you're growing wealth that way,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So when you hear people say all the time, "I'm trying to grow wealth, I'm trying to grow wealth," this is how you grow wealth. This is one way you grow wealth. I know people are
Right.
gonna say you can do real estate, do all this stuff, but this is one way to grow wealth. There are plenty of people who retire as millionaires off of their 401ks, off of their IRAs, off of brokerage accounts. There are plenty of people. I have plenty of clients who have huge 401ks, who have huge brokerage accounts. I get their 1099Bs with their when I see all these dividends and stuff on there, which means they have plenty of money in their accounts to be getting these type of dividends and interest income that they're getting on their 1099Bs from their Fidelity accounts, from their E-Trade accounts and things like that. So it is possible. There are people out here who are really and truly doing this. There are people out here who I see who are maxing out their 401ks. It happens and it brings your taxes down. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, if you look at your W-2, box 1 is your income that's being taxed. Box 3 is your gross, and depending on how much money you make, it's usually box 5 because box 3, if you make that type of money, it maxes out, I think, like 168 or something like that, 172, I think now. But then box 3 is what you make. If you subtract 1 from 3, I mean, box 1 from box 5, that's usually how much money you're putting into your 401k. And again, you can see in box 12 the amount of money that people are putting into their 401k. It shows the traditional, and if you're putting into a Roth, it'll show the Roth part. Obviously, the Roth part does not affect box one, but it shows that you're putting money into a Roth IRA at your job as well. But again, it doesn't help you tax wise
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you tax wise today. So
That's interesting. Even if you do a little bit, right, Eric? Like I know, like we're talking about financial goals. Let's say, hey, I want to go on this cruise. My friend is getting married in a in DR. Look, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, in DR, you know what I'm saying? So out of the country, a destination wedding, right? So and then you want to save for your retirement, and then you have just certain other things you want to be able to do, right? Like just what if you want to get a new car, or you wanted to save up, like how would you be able to still try to, if you don't make that type of money, then you probably wouldn't be able to do it. But like, is it okay? I guess that's where I'm at. Like to put certain amount of money in certain things and do is what I can, but I still want to save for some of these now goals. You know, versus, you know, I still want to save from retirement, but I also have things coming up that I want desire to do. Or do I just say, hey, I just don't have enough money, I got to put all this money into this. If after I've done that, then I can do this. Or what does, I don't want to feel like life is stopping because I can't, you know, there's some other goals I want to achieve. And I don't know, what would you say to that? I don't know. I'm trying to,
so I know we talk about the 50-30-20 all the
yeah.
time, but there was another budget that we had before that it was like 25, 15, 10, 5. And part of that 5 was the one where, okay, I have certain goals that I want to achieve. So, like, we want to go on a cruise every year. Instead of putting on a credit card, I need to put 5% every month into this account to go on vacation every year. There are people who do that instead of saying, "Hey, I'm gonna just throw it on a credit card and then pay the interest or whatever on the card." If you know a year from now you're going on a cruise or something like that, then go ahead and start putting that money away. The thing we're talking about, that's coming up pretty quickly. So I don't know if you can you can save money in that time frame to be able to do that, but that would be a goal. If I knew I wanted to go to that and I didn't want to put it on a credit card or something like that, and I didn't want to drain my savings account or something like that, I would try to sacrifice a little bit to set up a whole nother account to put money into that account to be able to pay for it instead of putting on a credit card or having to drain my savings account or something like that to be able to do it. And like you said, if I already have financial goals, as sad as it sounds, if I already have goals and I cannot do that, I can't do it. Or I've got to,
Woo.
again, at the end of the day, everything is a pie. Everything is in the pie, right? So if I'm taking money out of this, if I'm taking money to go do this, the money's got to come from somewhere else, right? So I have to, even if it's something saying, okay, I can't do some variable stuff I wanted to do. Like if my variable every month lets us go out to the movies or lets us go to a game or let's just go do these things. And if I say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice doing these things in order to go to this wedding or go on this cruise or go on this vacation, stuff like that, you got to do it. Because at the end of the day, even if I say I'm just going to throw it on a credit card, what have I created? I've created a bill.
Yeah.
Correct. So now I'm going to have to pay the credit card anyway. It's the same thing when I talk to people about doing their taxes. When people say, I'm living check to check, so I can't change my W 4. Okay. So when I say you owe money on your tax bill, what do they say? I want to get in a payment plan. So what'd you just do? I created a bill. You're going to create a bill either way. You're going to pay yourself, or you're going to put it into an account, or you're going to pay them. And the crazy part is, you're going to pay them with interest. Same thing.
Mm.
I'm going to save money to be able to go on this cruise or save money to go on this vacation or go to this wedding or whatever. I'm sorry, Roger, we keep on mentioning you, but but I'm gonna save money to do that. Or I'm gonna put it on a credit card and then I'm gonna pay interest on the credit card. Right?
Yeah, right.
So you got to make that decision. Am I willing to save money? Because again, at the end of the day, you're gonna pay for it. right? You're going to pay for it now by saving money, or you're going to put it on your credit card and you're going to pay for it and you're going to pay with interest now. This is the way it is, right? That's just the way that it is. So
Or
you
you
have
take it out
to
of your
ask
savings
yourself
and
one second.
replenish over the time, right?
Correct? Say that again.
You can take it out of like I mean some people probably have it 5 or
Yeah, you can do
10,000
that too. Yeah, you can do
in your
that too.
checking or in your savings or in your
Yeah,
in there's certain funds you got you got your high yield, you got this, you got your checking and your savings and your high
like
yield.
I
So
said
maybe you got
earlier.
10K set aside for like your house, right? I like some folk, something happens to the house, but it's not the high yield, it's not in that account, but it's in something happened, water heater, something like that. But maybe if I just pull 5K to go on this, I can replenish that. And it's not taking it's not putting it on a credit card. I'm not doing that, but it does take away from a different type of fund. I'll have to replenish, right?
Right,
But it's not the savings. It's not the savings. It's just it is a fund, but a savings that's a type of savings fund, but it is for a particular use that's already set aside for just in case something happens, right?
right. So I don't know if that's I'll have to check and see if that's on the website. That's the more advanced budget. So like I said, yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. My bad. I
so
was
that's so I think so we do the 50, 30, 20, but there's also the one where it's like 5. And again, one is for, I'm saving money to I want to do a down payment on a house or I want to go on vacation. And
right,
there's also one where I'm putting it for personal development. So I'm saving to
right,
take classes, to start a business and things like that. So it's more than just the 3. There's a budget that has like 5 or 6. So as you're saying that, you're correct. There might be a whole nother budget that I have, like a high yield savings account that I have that, I'm putting this money over here in case we want to go do something. Because you see something always happens. So
right.
if I'm putting money into this account every month, if something like that pops up where I say, hey, you know what, we want to go to DR or we want to go do something like that, you're correct. That money's in that account. So again, it's all about the financial goal setting of sitting back and saying, I need to have my money separated in case these type of things happen. Instead of, like you said, the answer is to go get a credit card. The answer here today, as I'm being told, I don't mess with it. But I keep on seeing people talk about Klarna. Is that what it's called?
Klarna,
Klarna,
yeah, Klarna, yeah.
Klarna and Affirm and stuff like
Affirm
that.
that, yeah, you can put it on there, no
Yeah,
interest. You can put it on,
and all this stuff. But
basically
to
a
my
layaway,
understanding,
right?
yeah, but to my
In a
understanding,
sense,
you have a certain amount of time to pay it back, or it
right.
starts charging you outrageous, and that's where they get caught. Because most people get excited about that. It's almost like you've been on a cruise before, so when you go in there, it gives you the ability to pay every month.
Yeah, yeah. Each month, it gives you ability if
Mhm.
you want to put like a deposit down, and you can want to pay over a certain amount of per month, and then whether however you want to stagger it, $300 a month, then you can kind of get to your goal to hit your goal. And of course, you got to have it paid off between that 90 days or whatever
Mhm.
before your cruise. So, yeah,
Yes. So I saw her question. So for the emergency fund, most people say 3 to 6 months. So that would be somewhere, like you said, between 25 to 50% of your take home. But others do 6 to 12. So yeah, where you're doing again 50 to 100% of your take home. The SEP IRA part, you can do up to the max of 25% of whatever your profit is. And I forgot the last part she said. I know I saw SEP and I saw emergency fund. But again, please be clear, everybody. Um, yeah, solo 401k. Again, you can max out up to the number. So depending on your age, I think it's like 23.5 this year and like 30, 31. But please be clear. Please be clear. These type of things, your emergency fund, your 401k, things like that, it's great to be putting money into them and doing your thing. But at the same time, you don't want to be in a position where I got to borrow from my 401k.
right,
You don't want to be in a position where I got to take money out of my emergency fund if it's not a legitimate emergency. Meaning I'm so fixated on putting money into these accounts that every month I got to go into them because I can't pay my bills. These are the type of accounts that you're putting money into these and being able to live off of the rest of your money as you're building these accounts, especially something like a solo 401k, people who have IRAs and things like that. The penalties that you have to pay to take money out of a traditional IRA and things like that, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to have to take money out of it, to have to pay the penalties if you're under 59 and a half to be able to take that money out. If you know you're going to have to take that money out and stuff, you need to not mess with it. You need to put in the amount unless it's where it's like it's got to be an absolute emergency because I have to understand the type of taxes I'm going to have to pay for taking it out. So again, like you were saying, I was going to say when you asked me, like if somebody said, "What would be my goal?" So like if I'm doing 6%, I would see how much 8% feels like putting into my 401k. I would slowly put money into it to where I could adjust. I wouldn't like if somebody was doing 6% today, unless they got a huge raise or they had all this extra money and stuff, I would definitely not tell somebody to go max out their 401k
Okay.
because you can definitely get in trouble every month if you don't have enough money to pay your bills. Now you're trying to go into the 401k and borrow money out of it and stuff like that. And even your own personal 401k at work, we all know that, right? Even if I have a 401k at work and I borrow out of it, I got to pay taxes on it. I'm not taxes, I apologize. You got to pay interest on it.
Yeah.
And if you get quit or get fired or whatever, then it's considered income and all that. You got to pay the taxes on it then. But yeah, is it worth it to pay the interest on your own money because you're putting too much money into the 401k? So you're kind of hustling backwards, so to speak. If I'm putting all the money into the account, but I'm not able to pay my bills, so I got to keep borrowing money out of it. So again, you should definitely have a budget and you should figure out from your budget how much you can comfortably afford and to put into these accounts, be it the savings account, the emergency fund, changing your 401k, whatever you plan on doing to help you build wealth and reach your financial goals. It's not as simple as somebody saying, again, I'm doing 6%. You said I need to be doing somewhere between 15 and 20. So I'm going to do 15.
Wow.
That's going to be a jump for you. It's really truly going to be a jump for you. So you really need to think about that before you just jump into doing that. So
That's good. This just reminds me, Eric, because when you're talking, I was thinking about like a financial diet,
correct.
in the sense, because, when you're on an actual diet, sometimes it don't go according to plan because some birthday party or some
Oh
event
yeah, you have
comes
2
up,
days, of
and
course.
you're eating over here, so now you don't got that bread. You know what I'm saying? You don't got cornbread, or you don't ate some oxtails, or something. You don't make some ribs, something like that. That is not the chicken and rice that I originally had meal prep, right?
Right.
So, so
Oh,
you're thinking about
in
it. But I
regards to
had
that,
goals to
yeah,
lose
in
weight
regards to
to
that,
get
yeah,
to a particular, huh?
correct. In regards to that, yeah, we knew he was getting engaged. We knew that, and then all of a sudden he sent us that. So, like you said, no, like I said, I've already got plans. I've already bought tickets to other stuff, and so now it's like, do I have time to do that too? Because I'm already doing all these other things. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
That's what we're talking
right,
about, right?
right,
And so the same thing. If I have goals of I'm trying to reach this, and then all of a sudden something pops up,
right,
I said, we'll use it from the diet perspective. Now I got a cheat day because we went out and we went to this club or we went to this restaurant, and that's not part of my diet. So I'm a
yeah,
cheat tonight, basically. So the
right,
same thing, I have these financial goals and something popped up. And it's not
right.
just that. What if my car breaks down? What
Yeah,
if
that's a
something
different one.
crazy
Yeah, yeah.
happens?
Need
So yeah, exactly.
tires.
Anything
Yeah.
can change. Anything can change my goals. But if I
Woo.
have a goal and I'm trying to stick to the goal, then hopefully by the time those type of things happen, I'm already ingrained in what I'm doing, and those type of things won't affect my goals because I've already put all that money away and stuff like that. Like you said, I'm just replenishing.
Right, right,
I'm not having to take money out of something else where I don't have enough money in my emergency fund. So now I got to go get a credit card or now I got to go do this. If I have enough money in my emergency fund and something happens, that's what the emergency fund is for, right? So like you said, I just replenish my emergency fund. I just go back to what I was doing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's good. That's good. You can't adjust. I guess you know things happen, but it's like, dang, you may not, that you're not ready for that, right? That emergency or something that pops up, and you don't have any like flow to kind of, because you've already committed to this. It's not on your goals. So it's like, do you have extra money? Do you have miscellaneous money? How do you help you get to that goal faster if that were to come up? Is there a financial Ozempic that we can make this work, right? I said financial Ozempic, right? Like it's hey, it's gonna get you right. Hold your withhold your appetite and all that kind of stuff to help
Or
you get to
something
your
that's going
goal.
to help me get to where I need to be in case something happens, gets me somewhere quicker.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say, like, is there? You see, that's what most people do. Well, if the diet's not working and you're not doing all that, then you go ahead and go do this to be able to get you to the place a little bit faster. And even if you try to cheat,
really, you want me to tell you?
Go ahead. I was just because we're in that conversation, I'm just wanted to chime that in there, just throw that in there.
Really? For real?
No, I was just saying.
No, you want me to tell you for real? You want me to tell you for real?
Yeah.
Okay. Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, Walmart. What you want me to say? Grow your shovel. It's just that simple. I'm not trying to be funny. Make more money.
Yeah.
Infuse more money into your situation.
Woo.
I mean, I'm being dead serious.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
More money into your situation. So, like I said, there are people who work at night because they want to pay something off. So, say I have student loans, and I say I don't want to keep student loans forever, so I'm going to go work part-time for a year, so I can pay my student loans off. I got all this credit card debt, so I want to pay all my credit cards off. So I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go do a study. I'm going to go do something that's going to infuse more money into my bank account in order for me to pay these things off early.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. It is what it is. And so people do that. They'll go work a job for 6 months, or they'll start driving Uber, start driving Lyft or something to make more money.
Yeah.
They'll take on a part-time job. They'll do things to infuse more money into their situation. And again, the crazy part about it, like I said, am I willing to sacrifice my time for a year in order to make more money? And then once those credit cards are paid off, or once that student loan is paid off, or once I built up my emergency fund, and then I can quit the job, but now I'm in a better financial position, right? Because I paid off the type of stuff that I was having a problem paying for with my income. So
good.
Now it's not so much I freed up. It's not where I need to make more money. I freed up expenses. So since I freed up expenses, I don't need to make as much income in order to reach my goals now. Because again, it's what I have left over between my revenue or my income and my expenses. So I either make more income or I cut my expenses. So if I bring my expenses down, I'm gonna give myself a raise basically. I have more money left over from my income because I have less expenses. So
that's good.
Same thing. It's like if somebody's saying they're getting married or something, and they're like, "Hey, I got to go get a job for a year, whatever, because I want to pay to be able to go on a honeymoon or be able to pay for this wedding and stuff like that." People do it. They do it because they say, in order to pay for this, I got to make more money. So they do it.
So what I was going to get to is, so this has to be about your mindset on how, based on your goal that you have, right?
Goal and a plan.
The goal and the plan. So
I know we're kind of all over the place.
I know, but
at the end of the day, this is it. Your goal and your financial goal and your financial plans. At the end of the day, it's what we're talking about. Correct.
I didn't want to mess you up, Eric. I didn't want to mess you up.
No,
make sure
I'm saying you're absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, that's what I'm saying. You're absolutely right.
Because your behavior, based on your goal, like we go back to like that, based on how bad do you want this particular goal, right? That would kind of dictate, based on whatever your goal and your mindset towards your goal, how your plan is laid out, right? So if my plan is like, hey, my goal is to lose 20 pounds in a year, well, you ain't gonna be ready by summer. Just to let you know that, right? Like that's not the goal. But if I'm ready to be ready, and I got 6 months to be ready for the summer, that's a different type of plan, right?
Correct.
So my mindset has to be, hey, I can't have that many cheat days. I can't go out here and do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. I have to stay consistent. I have to do this. So I'm thinking about like that mindset. If I, when we think about our goals, that some type of behavior needs to be, or mindset needs to be connected to that. And I guess why is that goal so important to you to reach?
Correct.
Right?
And that's the most important part.
Right.
There has
I
to be
guess
a
the
why.
why.
There has to be
Yeah.
a why. Correct. There definitely has to be a why. And again, on that same mindset, you're right. You can say, well, I'll just start saving more money. Or like you said, if I want to do it quicker, if I want to infuse it and make this happen quicker, then you're right. I might have to make more money. Or I might have to completely cut out some things.
Right.
Yeah, and people do it all the time. People cut out their cable. People quit going out to eat. People start doing things to be able to either make more money or cut their expenses. Like you said, it's all about your commitment. It's all about your time frame. It's all about how you're trying to achieve your goal and how fast you want to achieve it. What are you willing to sacrifice to reach your goal? It's just that simple. So,
I know this may sound, but I do see that folks do sacrifice food and like clothing, in the sense of like they don't eat as much, so they only eat like a little bit because the food. And it's not that they don't have money. That's what's the craziest thing. It's
mhm,
because they don't want to have, because it is getting it's more expensive, right? But it's like, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and eat this and be good. Like we talk about just eating oatmeal for the day. Like you want to eat oatmeal. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that meal versus that you eating porridge. And so you're like, but you don't have any meat, you don't have anything, as far as I guess more nutrition or balanced diet. But it's like, nah, I have a goal even to that degree. I would say that would be a little bit extreme, but then at the end of the day, if your why is that strong that no matter what, I need to get to this goal, I guess you'll do whatever you had to do. I remember I telling my wife, I said, trying to get her wedding ring and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm trying to propose. Brother was eating bologna sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Eating bologna. The brother don't even eat pork like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm eating bologna sandwiches, to make this work. And she still think I'm lying about this, right? I was over eating Taco Bell, eating the bean burritos, the 99 cent, burritos and stuff like that. I could never eat Taco Bell ever again since then, by the way. So I was eating them burrito, beating, the cheese burrito, just going making it work. Noodles trying to like, hey, I gotta, get this ring. It's like this vintage X, Y, and Z, Neil Dot, whatever, signature series that I was trying to get. You know what I'm saying? Don't even know if this girl even worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like that don't even make no sense, man. So
so
anyway, I digress. But
wider. But on a wider scale, like you'll see a lot of people, I won't say brag, but a lot of people use it as a badge of honor. When I see people talk about one of the biggest drainers financially is what? Car notes.
car notes, yeah.
So people will brag, I'm driving a 2012 or whatever. And instead of me having this car note, I'm putting this money in this account. This account is growing and this like that. So I'll be able to have all this money in retirement.
Mhm.
People look at things like that. People say instead of going out to eat, um, you know, I think with like the Starbucks thing, like they said, that's not, believe it or not, that's really not a whole lot of money in the in the bigger scheme of things, but it is a thought process of somebody saying instead of me spending $5 a day at Starbucks, I can take that $100, the $25 a week, the $100, and put it into some type of account that's going to grow. So it's going to help me grow wealth and stuff like that. But usually the car is the biggest thing. People say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to have a car note because I'd rather put that money into some type of account that's growing me interest, that's growing stuff like that to get me to retirement quicker, as opposed to the person who has the car note.
Right.
So they're not able to put that money away. Same
Yeah.
thing, the person who goes on vacation all the time. Or like I said, the person who goes out to eat, the person who buys a bunch of clothes, the person who does those type of things, you might not be thinking about it on a daily basis, but the person who has a plan and says, if I invest this money as opposed to spending it on these depreciating assets, as
Mm.
opposed to putting it into assets that are going to grow and help me reach to where I want to get, that person believes and knows that they're going to reach their goals so much quicker than the person who's spending their money on things that aren't growing, that aren't appreciating. So it doesn't have to be as dire as somebody saying, I'm not going to eat or I'm not going to have any kind of cable at all and stuff like that. Obviously, those things help, I guess, because of, you're saving money. But it's the things like that, the people who say, no, I'm not going to have a car note or I'm not going to go on these vacations. I'm not going to spend money to do these type of things. I'm going to invest that money instead to get to these goals. And again, it's all about your situation. It's all about whatever type of goal you're trying to get. Again, it all starts with whatever your goal is and whatever your plans are to get to that goal. So that's really the part that you should think about is, I'm sure we all have some type of financial, physical, some type of goal. Everybody has a goal, I'm assuming. It's all about how do you reach that goal? What are you doing to be able to reach that goal? That's the part that you need to think about, not just like we said at the beginning of this podcast, don't just jump up today and say, hey, at the end of the year, I'm going to have $10,000 in the bank. And if somebody says, how do you plan on attaining it? You have no clue. You haven't thought about it. You haven't thought about what I'm going to have to give up every month in order to put that $1,000 away, which is basically what you have to do, right? If I have no money in the bank today and I say I'm going to have $12,000 at the end of the year, I've got to do something where I'm saving $1,000 a month. Yeah, things like that. So, like I said, it does help. If I have all these subscriptions and stuff like that I'm not really using, that's stuff that can add up to that. But at the same time, like I said, you do need to think about again if that's a goal that you believe is attainable, the $10,000 to $12,000 a year, then you need to sit down and say, okay, something's got to give. I said that to clients all the time when they say, hey, I want to save such and such amount. And I say, okay, how much money you got in your savings account right now? And they usually have nothing, right? It's like, so something's got to change. Something's got to change because you're living check to check. You're spending all your money. And now you're saying you want to, whatever the number is, you can say 500, you can say $600. So, $50 a month. If you're not saving anything at all now, you have to make some type of change, as small as that sounds. Even if it's like Shane is saying, just canceling some subscriptions. You're going to have to make some type of change in order to start saving money. Are you willing to make those changes? That's the most important part. Because a goal without a plan is waste of time. Look at his face. A goal without plans, waste of time.
They said, what was the song about the target? If you don't have a, I think it was Jim Rohn that said something about if you don't have a target or target in mind, you can't hit it or something like that.
Correct. Something like that.
Something like that. Man.
But that's the most important part. And again, I know we started with the tax thing, and that's why I was really on my mind because when so many people come in here and we talk about how to save money on our taxes, how to, especially business owners, um, you don't have a 401k, where you're getting the match and everything at work. You don't have a pension plan. You don't have anything towards retirement. Something as simple as, like I said, opening up a SEP IRA, opening up a traditional or Roth IRA, things like that. You need to really be thinking about your financial goals. And a lot of the things we talk about also help you from a tax standpoint. And if I'm a business owner, I need to be thinking about having reserves. I need to think about having a savings account. You need to be thinking about those type of goals. And I know I'm talking about a business owner in this situation, but it's the same thing. I have so many people who are W-2 and the same thing. They end up owing taxes at the end of the year. And they're upset at me. Why are you upset at me? All I'm doing is putting the numbers in. I'm explaining to you what you need to do in order to not owe taxes and creating a business and doing that we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm saying you need to do these legitimate things. Just go change your W-4. Put money into your 401k. Open up an IRA. These are things that you can do. Again, it's not dollar for dollar. I get that. It's not dollar for dollar. But if I know I'm growing wealth by doing that and I'm still saving a little bit of money on taxes, That's an incentive to me. That's what I would want to do instead of just, people say I don't want to pay taxes. So you're paying less taxes by putting money into these accounts in order to build wealth as a financial goal. I know, but at the same time, and I'm going to say this part, definitely make sure you have an emergency fund, a savings account, and all those things before you start investing and doing all that stuff. And also make sure you're getting your debt down. Don't have these huge credit cards and stuff like that because that's eating up your money as well, right? If I'm paying all these huge credit card bills and stuff like that and paying all this interest and stuff. So you need to think about getting all that stuff down as well before you start saving money. But definitely because of compound interest, time value money, and things like that, you definitely want to think about figuring out how to put your money into some type of investment and thing like that that's growing money. So you really need to have that. Again, I've mentioned so many things that you could do, but you need to think about what your personal financial goal is. Like I said at the beginning, if my goal is to build an emergency fund, figure out a plan on how to build an emergency fund. If my goal is to pay off my debts, figure out how to snowball all your debt to pay all your debt off. If my goal is to build my retirement, figure out how to put more money into your 401k, open up an IRA, open up a brokerage account, things like that. Again, it's all about what your goals are, what you plan on doing, and then figure out a plan on how to get to those goals. Don't just stand and say, I want to do these things, but have absolutely no clue on how you're going to do them. So, you trying to kill time? What you want to talk about, Uncle Nearest? You want to do it? You
No.
want to do it?
I was like, no, we had time right now. We had time, but I just want to make sure you are good and you are wrapping it up the way you
No, I'm
want to
good.
wrap it up. So
I'm good. I
if
definitely don't want to
anybody
talk
had
about
any
that today.
questions, definitely
I
please
don't want to
drop
talk
them
about
in the
that
chat if
today.
you have any questions concerning the importance of financial goals. Eric talked about SMART goals and having those goals. And so if you want to drop a comment or question in the chat, you please do so. If you want to follow us on the YouTube channel at Anderson Taxes, please do so. And also go to the financialturtle.com for more tax and financial tips. So you had anything else, Eric?
No. Again, like I said, I really appreciate everybody coming. It is so busy for me right now. We talk about canceling these, but people come in the office and they tell me how they enjoy watching these videos, how they enjoy watching it on TikTok, the YouTube videos and stuff like that. So that keeps me motivated to keep on doing it because again, I'm not really sure if people are watching, but then my clients keep coming in here, they keep on calling, they keep on asking questions. You might not be asking questions here, but people call me and they ask me questions, or they'll come in and they'll say, I saw your video and I went and changed this, I changed that, I started doing this or whatever. So that is really motivating and inspirational to us that we know that we're out here really and truly making an impact and really have people listening to what we're saying and taking the advice that we're doing. And so that keeps me motivated. He'll tell you I've been working since I've been up with getting ready for clients and working with clients at 6 o'clock this morning. So I was really, really down right before we got on, but I'm always motivated to have these type of conversations because I feel they're really, really important, especially like I said, when I meet with clients and we have these conversations and a lot of things that I talk about on here, people say they don't know. Just like we were sitting there talking the other day about the bankruptcies. A lot of people do not know the difference between the 7, 11, and 13s. And so if you guys are watching this, also take a look at the articles that we do every day. If there's an article you want me to talk about, please put that in the chat. If there's something you want us to talk about, I saw said was just on here said we did the insurance the other day. Was that last week, Isaac? We did the insurance. We did that
Yes.
for said.
Yeah,
That
we
was
did.
for said.
Yeah,
He
we
said
did
he
the
wanted us to
insurance.
talk
Yeah.
about that. And so if there's something you would like for us to talk about, just go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll do research on it or whatever. And then we will sit down and talk about it. And the same thing, if there's any type of article or anything you want us to talk about, anything you want me to talk about on the Financial Fridays, any of those type of things, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. Email me at info@thefinancialturtle, or you can reach me at Anderson Consulting 3 at yahoo.com or eric.anderson at andersontaxes.com. You can reach me in any one of those three things. Just drop us any type of questions, anything you guys want to talk about. I'm trying not to be, I know I joked about it a second ago. We're trying not to be that. I don't want to talk about Uncle Nearest. I don't want to talk about the Tulsa Fund. I don't want to talk about those type of things. I want to be positive. I want to be positive. But if these are the type of things you guys want to talk about in another session, or we can talk about it. But I really don't want to talk about it. But if that's something you guys want to talk about, we can definitely discuss those type of things. But again, I appreciate everybody coming out. I'll be here every Tuesday, no matter how tired I am.
Thank you, Eric.
because,
Really
because I'm
appreciate it.
inspired. All right,
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Eric.
And I thank you guys.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, everybody have a good night.